Hey everyone, and welcome to the second session of Pillow Talk Self-Therapy. And as you might have guessed, today we'll be talking with our shadow self. Yeah, unfortunately, most of the time you're not going to be able to see my face, but my body, my hands, they will be there for you to help you out to understand that I'm there and I'm talking to you. For me, when I talk to my shadow self, even personally, I prefer to be in a dark place. Most of the time it's evening, but this morning was the perfect time. So I woke up earlier and it's rainy, it's dark, the perfect timing to talk with my shadow self. I have realized that in previous video I was talking too much at the beginning of the video and using a lot of words like so, like, and other. So today, hopefully, that's not going to be happening. And yeah, let's dive in right away and talk about our shadow self when we're transitioning at our work or workplaces, whatever it works. Yeah, let's do this. I'm really excited, if to be honest. The shadow self is the part of us that we often deny or push away. It's our fears, doubts, insecurities, and the traits that we don't want to acknowledge. During work transitions, this hidden part of us tends to react sometimes in ways that hold us back. So, for example, in our inner child, it's more about what the child can mess up because it's a child and it's super emotional. But when we talk about our shadow self, it's something that holds us back. Like 2, 3, 4, few steps, as many steps as you need. Name them. They're just holding you back and they don't allow you to grow up and to level up to the point where you want to be. So transitions, especially in work, bring the shadow to the surface. The discomfort, fear, and resistance you feel during these times, there are the signals that the shadow is active. But instead of suppressing these feelings, we can recognize and work with them to move forward. And here's how the shadow reacts and how you can talk to it with love and acceptance. Number 1, fear of failure. This is the shadow's reaction that I call paralyzing doubt. The doubt that totally paralyzes you and not allowing you to do anything, like anything. And the shadow often whispers, "You're going to fail. Why even try?" So it stems from past disappointments, making you afraid of taking risks. And taking risks sometimes is the most important part, especially when we're talking about work and maybe even creating business. Creating business without risk is like nothing. So what and how would I talk to my shadow self? It's okay to not have all the answers. I'm learning with each step I take. Failure is a guide, not an enemy. I grow stronger with every challenge I face. I trust myself to handle setbacks. They're simply part of my journey to success. Sounds great. And as well, here's a small reminder. When we're talking to the inner kid, as I said, it's better to use simplified words. When you're talking to your shadow self, it doesn't matter what words you use because it's kind of you, but just from the shadow. So in here, you don't have to worry about the vocab at all. Okay, I love the speed. I love that I'm trying to be in the time frame, because I think with the inner child, I was not in a time frame at all. Number 2, the masks we wear. It's shadow's reaction when it's hiding behind the persona or behind the personas that it created for itself to be safe. So your shadow makes you feel like you need to wear a mask to fit in or to avoid judgment or to seem perfect. But wearing mask only distances you from your authentic self. So in here, to my shadow self, I would say, I'm enough as I am. I don't need to hide behind a version of myself. The real me is worthy. I let go of the need to impress or perform. I release the fear of judgment, and I allow myself to show up authentically. So as you can see in here, I started using different words. So yeah, use any word you want because it's just shadow. It's not a kid. Let's move next. Next, number 3. Imposter syndrome. This is when shadow reacts with a deep insecurity. The shadow convinces you that you are not deserving of your achievements and that you're a fraud. It holds on to past experiences where you felt inadequate. So talking to my shadow self, I would say, I see the doubts and insecurities, but they don't define me. I am more than enough for this new role. I belong here. I acknowledge my strengths and abilities. I have earned my place. Ooh, powerful. I love it. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Let's move on. Number 4, resistance to change. This is the part when shadow reaction is like, oh, I'm afraid to lose control. So this part is, it's fear of losing the control of the situation, of what is happening with it. The shadow clings towards familiar. Even when it's no longer beneficial, change threatens the shadow because it brings uncertainty and a loss of control. And shadow really afraid to lose control because it's like, I stuck to this body. What if I will lose control? No, it can't be happening. Yeah. So how would I talk to it? Change feels uncomfortable, but I trust it will lead me to growth. I'm flexible and open to new opportunities. I release my resistance. I embrace the unknown. It is path to my transformation. Oh, I love it. Love it. Nice. So number 5, self-sabotage. This is the shadow reaction to success. It fears the success because it doesn't know what it is, if to be honest, because it was always in the shadow. Shadow doesn't get the light, when you're standing somewhere or in the pedestal, or most of the time when you get rewarded, that's when you're in the light. The shadow never was in the light, so it doesn't know what success is. So the shadow often sabotages your progress by keeping you in your comfort zone, avoiding growth out of fear that success will bring you pressures or expectations from other people. What would I say to my shadow self? I recognize when I'm holding myself back. I choose to move forward instead. I release the habit of procrastination, and I'm ready to take action. I allow myself to succeed. I deserve success and fulfillment. Ooh, I love it. I love it. I think I'm better at working with my shadow than with the inner kid. Yeah, but today it's just like I have checked my inner kid video and I have realized, oh no, we need to shorten the content because today as well I will be talking about 10 and it's quite a lot. So let's move on. Number 6, guilt and shame. This is the shadow reaction on holding on to past mistakes that you have somehow made in the past. The shadow clings to guilt and shame as a way to punish you for past mistakes. So it's a punishment. And by doing that, it makes it difficult to embrace new opportunities or changes that come in your way. This, I think, quite easy. I release the guilt of leaving behind what no longer serves me. I'm deserving of new beginnings, free from shame and regret. I forgive myself for past mistakes. They do not define my future. Yeah, I think with guilt, I walked a lot with guilt and shame. So not only with myself, but also with other people. So this topic is pretty much like an open book for me. I've worked so much with this topic, and we have done so many affirmations with people that I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Nice. Let's move on. Number 7, letting go of the comfort zone. This is the part of shadow work that clings to the safety and familiarity. The shadow keeps you in the comfort zone where everything feels familiar and safe. Even it's not where you can grow, but it resists the change out of just fear. And you just need to face this fear that comes from the shadow. What would I say to the shadow in here? I'm ready to step into the unknown where my growth happens. My comfort zone may feel safe, but it no longer serves me. I'm ready to move beyond it. I welcome new experiences, even if they feel unfamiliar. I trust myself to adapt. Yay! Yeah. And as you might see, I have decided to lessen a little bit the affirmations, because I also, by looking at our inner child video, I have realized that maybe you guys don't have that much time, and better to come up with something that's short, but at the same time super powerful and effective for the shadow. So we have 3 to go. And number 8, releasing the need for perfection. So that's the shadow's reaction when it shows as a fear of being judged. The shadow often demands perfections, fearing that any mistake will lead to judgment, rejection, or failure. It creates pressure to be flawless. And for sure, this holds you back so much. And my words to the shadow self would be, perfectionism limits me. I let go of the need to do everything perfectly. I'm allowed to make mistakes. They're stepping stones to growth. I give myself permission to be human, to learn, and to grow through imperfection. Yay! Nice. Number 9, fear of the unknown. This is the shadow reaction when it feels overwhelmed and anxious. So the shadow sees the unknown as a threat because it can't control or predict what's coming to it. This fear keeps you from stepping into new opportunities most of the time, and you're just not taking like new project, or you're not changing the work, mostly because the shadow is so afraid of the unknown, and it just holds you back and like, oh no, let's not go there. So I think maybe you have realized already, but most of the time, as I said at the beginning, shadow is just holding you back and doesn't want you to step forward, move forward, and to see your best self, because it's so comfortable in the dark. What would I say to my shadow self in here? The unknown is not a threat. It is filled with opportunities for me to thrive. I trust my intuition to guide me through unfamiliar territory. I embrace uncertainty, knowing that it brings new possibilities. Oh, love it. Great. And the last one that I decided to also use, but it's also a defense mechanism, and I will just let you know if you have this, if you feel like that's exactly what shadow work is doing to you, feel free to use the affirmation that I will be creating. But if you have a different defense mechanism, then it's better not to use this affirmation. So you really have to align with your shadow and to see if what I'm saying speaks to you and you feel like, oh yeah, that's exactly the defense mechanism that my shadow work and my shadow self tries to play with me. So please listen to your body, and if this doesn't resonate with you, so you don't have to do this affirmation, but if you feel like, oh yeah, this exactly resonates with me, that's exactly what happens with me, then feel free to work with your shadow self. So number 10, defense mechanism, fear of being unseen. This is when the shadow reacts by hiding your true self. This is the hugest thing, but that's exactly what shadow work does a lot of time. So your shadow fears being fully seen because exposure could lead to judgment, rejection, and criticism. It keeps you small and hidden by making you afraid to fully step into the spotlight. What affirmation would I use for this defense mechanism? It's safe for me to be seen. I no longer hide my true self from the world. I allow myself to step into the light, knowing I'm worthy of recognition. I release my need to hide. I trust that being seen brings me closer to my true power. Yay! Oh, we finished for today, and I'm so happy that it was quite quick, because inner child was it was quite long. Yay! Oh, hey there, one more time. I came out from the shadow, and yeah, that's how I was looking while I was telling you about the shadow self. While working on this segment, I have realized that walking on a shadow self might be much easier than on inner child, because inner child also connected to our inherited habits, our moms and dads habits and strategies and patterns and behavior. But when it comes to our shadow self, it's more about what is it about you? What are your insecurities? What is happening in your individual self that not helping you to move forward and be the best version of yourself and transform fully and evolve into the person who you want to be. Yay! And coming to an end. I'm so happy it's much quicker than the previous one, and thank you very much for joining me today. And it was the second session of Pillow Talk Self Therapy Transition at Work, but from the perspective of shadow self. If it resonated with you and you felt like, oh yeah, Polly, you hit all the boxes there, comment below and let me know if there is something more to your shadow self. And I can't wait to see you next week and talk about inner child. And the topic is secret. See you next time. Bye.